The future is murky and no one knows what's going on, but we here at Game Sandwich are going to tell you which video game franchises will be around in 100 years. I'm John Hanson. That is Kalo. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. We are going to go through a list of games that we think will be around in 100 years. Now, how this topic came up is one night within the last couple weeks, I was just sitting there. I was staring up at the ceiling in my bed. Probably like 2 or 3 in the morning, just as I usually do, just laying there, not falling asleep, doing anything but that, of course. And I just started thinking, man, where will we be in 100 years? Obviously, I'll be dead. We'll probably all be dead. Everything will be dead, maybe. But what about our favorite video games? I started thinking specifically about Mario because Super Mario is arguably the biggest video game franchise of all time.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I would say. Obviously, you've got games that have sold better, and I'm sure we're going to get into those. But in 100 years, without Shigeru Miyamoto and how things go with Nintendo, will Mario still be around?
Ooh, this is scary. I don't like this. I need an adult.
Because you think about this, Mario is coming up on 40 years of being around. I mean, the video game industry as a whole is relatively young still. I mean, we think about like old retro games from like when we were little 20, 30 years ago. The video game industry is not much older than these games that we love. So, what do you think, Kevin? Is there a chance that Mario is still around in 100 years?
Oh, we're starting off hot. Well, I'm going to put it out there, and this kind of relates to the list I've constructed. Mario, the IP, will be here. But as we know Mario, highly doubt it. I mean, you look the past few years, they recasted the voice from Charles Martinet. I don't know the new guy's name, but like that...
Kevin Afghani.
Oh, Kevin, look at that. But there's a seismic shift within the world of Mario. So I think that is safe to say. I know people are looking for like the hot, like knee-jerk reaction, but I look at Mario, it's a household name, it's very relatable to kids, they're building now a cinematic universe, or what we would assume to be that. I just think, as you said, like, as gaming is still in its pretty infant stages, Mario is right there as far as, yeah, it's been here for years, but it's still technically a baby.
As long as we have video games in the media that we play as other characters, I think you're right that Mario will be around. Obviously, we don't know what video game platforms will even look like in 100 years. We could be talking about VR platforms that it's just you going in, and maybe you go into like the Mushroom Kingdom.
Ready Player One, upload me to the Matrix. I'm in.
That kind of thing. But I do feel like there is an important space for playing as other people still.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's just boring being yourself. Who wants to be yourself in video games? That's why whenever there's like a character creator, I always just hit like randomize or something. Yeah. I don't put the time into creating an original character, but I'm not making myself usually because I'm boring. I suck. Why would I do that?
I'm the cookie cutter person, so it's like, let's just give him blue hair and some wacky thing. In the vein of like a classic character, I want to pose this question because I'm too scared to say it. I have a list of games that won't survive versus games that will.
Okay.
The top of my list, I have Halo as a game that will not survive. And this is a deeper conversation of, do we get a new Master Chief? Because the voice actor is getting pretty old, and there's been talks about that. do we just get a new protagonist within Halo, a new Spartan, a new whatever? And as the game stands right now with Infinite and just the state of multiplayer, it doesn't really give me confidence, let's just say 50 years in the future, that Halo is still a thing.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you that I don't think Halo will be around in 100 years or 50 years. And not even necessarily just because of the Master Chief question. I think it just comes down to eventually, what if Microsoft just doesn't want to be in the gaming space anymore? They're talking about it now. They're like, we are staying here. We're still making consoles. But they are a trillion-dollar company. Like, they can do whatever they want. If they find some new outlet and the Xbox sales for, well, obviously the console sales are already dipping, but if like the software and the engagement, the subscription sales, if all those drop, Microsoft can just out of nowhere say, you know what, this isn't for us anymore. And then they just pull out of gaming altogether. There's a future where that happens. But now, as you think of like, well, Activision, Bethesda, all these companies that they've acquired in recent years, what does that mean for them? Could be some very interesting conversations, let's say 20, 30 years from now. Like, we just don't know what's going to happen there.
This is scary. I don't like this. I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I don't think Halo is one that particularly makes it that long. Yeah, it's made it 20 years, and it had its time where it was the biggest FPS around. If we're talking about our VR thing where it like puts you in as a Spartan yourself and you get to be the Master Chief, okay, maybe. But I just, with Master Chief, with Cortana, all that stuff, that feels like it's on its last legs already.
Yeah.
There's definitely a chance that we don't see that very relatively much longer. I mean, in the next like 10, 20 years, I think we do, but beyond that, I would be kind of surprised, I think. We also have to remember all of this, it takes one disaster game to like really ruin a franchise. Like a lot can go wrong. I know Fallout made it through the Fallout 76 disaster, but when that came out, there were a lot of people, myself included, thinking, do we ever see another Fallout?
Yeah.
Obviously, Bethesda is still doing it. They made a lot of updates to that game. They got the Fallout TV show. Obviously, we haven't heard about a new Fallout game, but they've been focused on Starfield and Elder Scrolls. But yeah, there was a really real chance that Fallout just didn't come back. All right, I'm going to throw out another big one here because this is currently the highest profitable franchise in the world, and not just video games, but everywhere, Pokemon.
Ooh, doesn't survive?
I'm just putting the question out there.
Ooh, this is scary. I can't do it.
Imagine a world without Pokemon. Now, we have things like the Pokemon Company that obviously are 100% committed to the world of Pokemon. I think this one is more likely on the, it will still be around. It's one of those things that it's too big to imagine it not being here. Think of Mickey Mouse, who has survived 100 years. Pokemon is on the same level as Mickey Mouse, as I would say Mario is for video games, at least. Yeah. Pokemon is even bigger, though, than Mario. Pokemon Pikachu is Mickey Mouse, essentially. We just love our mouses. What can I say?
It's so funny. And to just touch on Bethesda real quick, Todd Howard is going to be retiring within the next few years. Probably, maybe after Elder Scrolls. Who knows the next Fallout? So, there's that too. But, to get back to Pokemon real quick. My mom, she knows I do these things talking about video games, and the only game she keeps asking me about, are you playing Pokemon? Are you playing this? She has no idea what video games are outside of that. So that just proves, like, if it can resonate with someone like that, yeah, like, Pokemon's here. Plus, the model it was built off of, we're only on, like, Gen 10. So it's like, yeah, 10 generations in, I think we got a lot more left. They made Pokemon out of trash bags. So it's like, yeah, like, there's plenty of designs out there to kind of just say, here's Gen 11, here's Gen 27.
Yeah, probably the biggest reason why I think Pokemon has a better chance than even Mario is because from the beginning, Pokemon has been outside of video games. We've had trading cards, anime, movies, like all this stuff. Mario is just starting to do all that with the movie. I mean, he's had merchandise, but I'm talking about like big, impactful areas outside of its main series. Yeah, Mario's just the Nintendo thing.
Yeah.
Pokemon isn't just Nintendo. Pokemon is a massive thing around the world. So it's just hard for me to really see where we just don't have Pokemon.
It's pop culture. So it's like, yeah, like, let's get Pokemon Go. That was a thing. TCG Pocket just launched. That's taken off. So it's like, hey, even if like one branch of the Pokemon world fails, it's like, all right, there's 50 others. Like, you can go and say there's an anime, there's a movie, there's the actual cards, there's the toys. It's like, yeah, Pokemon will be here. It's fine. It's a mascot. We're gonna live.
Yeah. You got another one you want to bring up?
Ooh, do I? I want to talk about, well, real quick, game that won't. Just putting the nail in the coffin. Battlefield. It's going to be the next Medal of Honor where we're talking about it like, hey, like, remember when we used to play Battlefield? Yeah, there's that. But staying in the same kind of world-ish, Assassin's Creed. While I think this game could live on and be something great, Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming up. It's safe to say a lot of what Ubisoft does in the future, pending acquisition as well, it hinges on that game. And to say that, like, it's a game that can focus on history, that's what it's all about. There's a lot of history, but at the same time, there isn't enough time, ironically enough, for Ubisoft to survive this and say, like, hey, like, we're still making quality Assassin's Creed games. It's like, there's different eras, like the Vietnam War we can explore. There's all these different assassins, even the future. We've yet to touch on the future outside of, like, Desmond and that whole weird thing. But yeah, Assassin's Creed, I don't see it in 100 years. I don't think it's good there.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that you combine these, because Battlefield and Assassin's Creed, I'm right there with you. I'm not sure if both of those franchises make it out of the next decade.
5. I'm giving it 5.
Maybe 5's a bit short, but their immediate future is murky. So when you talk about Medal of Honor, of course you have Call of Duty, which essentially was the Medal of Honor killer. Battlefield doesn't need that to happen. Battlefield just needs to continue the development cycle that it's been on lately, where it comes out every 4 or 5 years and then it just doesn't make an impact.
Yeah.
Like that's happening a lot more often than EA wants. Mm-hmm. We had Battlefield 2042 most recently, or wait, yeah, it was 2042, right?
Yeah.
That looked, admittedly, I'm not a big Battlefield guy, but it looked awesome with all its weather stuff and everything. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then it came out and just was a dud. Mm-hmm. Assassin's Creed is kind of the same way, but that one's a bigger issue with just Ubisoft in general. Like that, you could say anything from Ubisoft and I would be like, yeah, I'm not putting money on that being around in 100 years.
Yep.
Like, are you kidding me? Everything there is up to be just gone within who knows, because of everything. Yeah, I don't see a world where either of those make it that long. It just doesn't fit in my mind.
A quick one, I just want to run it by you. God of War. I love this series. I think it's great, but in a series where you're basing it off pantheons of gods, you can stray and be like, oh, like, let's make a game about Atreus and blah, blah, blah. Great. But Kratos, as we know him, as we love him, I don't see, like, outside of the next game, whenever that is, what do we do? Like, what do we do with Kratos? Like, what do we do with the franchise? Because there was talks about him dying in Ragnarok. So it's like, what do we do? Like, there's nothing else for him to do outside of go to Egypt, which, do we even get that?
There's always a chance that they expand into the other god areas. I mean, they've already expanded to other mythologies, so they could do that. They could make up their own gods if they wanted to. But that being said, God of War does feel like a short-term franchise in the way that right now it's made it 20 years, but in that time we've had 5, 6 games.
Six games.
Yeah, it's not a lot compared to the biggest franchises in all of gaming. Now, that quantity doesn't mean much when we're talking about how much people love it. Obviously, we loved God of War 2018, and Ragnarok was really good too. But I just don't see a world where we're talking about that in maybe another 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we look at Kratos as the PlayStation mascot. PS2 generation, we probably did that as well. PS3, we weren't talking about Kratos at all. Obviously, a lot of that is because there wasn't new games; they were just remastering and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if Kratos is around that long, even if they were to just spin it off to Atreus's franchise going forward, which that would be a weird. Would they rename it to like God of Trickster since he's Loki?
Son of War or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that happening. And especially since we're like we've already got Ragnarok, which Cory Barlog has been like, yeah, we're not making a third entry in this. In that run, they weren't making if they were keeping the new games at a duology, but they're like, okay, we're already done with this. Like, if we come up with a new story, we will, but we're not pushing this. It's very hard to envision God of War being around that long. All right. Call of Duty.
Ooh.
We're bringing out a lot of big hitters here. Call of Duty right now seems too big to fail.
Yeah.
Like, within the last decade, there have been multiple games that are like, okay, this isn't great. Vanguard, Modern Warfare 3, the recent one. I didn't like Advanced Warfare. Infinite Warfare had like the most dislikes in YouTube history for a while. Still, it remains the highest selling game of every year that a Rockstar game doesn't release.
Yeah.
Or Hogwarts Legacy, I guess. So, Kalo, is Call of Duty around in 100 years?
I'm going to say yeah, simply because of what you said. Even at its worst, it's still one of the top selling games ever. And it's like, all right, you say, like, there was that era where we were just stuck in World War II and World War I. Thank the Lord, we've moved on. It's like games, and I lumped in, like, Forza and, like, games based on the times. Games based on certain parts of history. There's only X amount of time in front of us. We don't know what's in front of us. We can speculate on the future. That's why we got games like Cyberpunk. But yeah, like Call of Duty, you could just be like, all right, the next 4 or 5 Call of Duties are going to be like Advanced Warfare, but better. And this is future warfare. I think they can bank on that for a decent amount of time. And if they want, they can go back and do Call of Duty 1, 2, 3. Those games still hold up fairly well. So it's like, let's just go back and reboot Call of Duty because it's war, and war never changes. Look at that. Fallout.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, though, because I feel like we're starting to see the shift. Black Ops 6, great game. The best Call of Duty release in years, in my opinion. I don't know if the newer generation typically is going to adopt Call of Duty like they do Minecraft, Fortnite, all these other like live service games. Call of Duty obviously has hit the ground running with the live service nature, and it's going to stay that way for the foreseeable future. Are we sure that, say, in 15 years, that maybe our generation will still be playing it, but will the people who are our age right now at that time, will they be playing it? I'm not sure about that because, I mean, they're all it takes is just a change in mindset where it's like, you know what, I'm done supporting these war games, like stuff like that. I don't know. Obviously, Activision and Microsoft now, they could put so much money behind it. They could change it up however they want. They're still doing yearly releases, even though they said that they would eventually stop. They never did. The thing is, Call of Duty is comfort food for people, and that is probably the biggest thing that will keep it if it's around in 100 years. Is just there are people that Call of Duty is the only game they buy every year. The same with Madden.
Yeah, that game needs to go, because if they churn out another Madden like they have been, talk about nail in the coffin.
Real quick, I think Madden, any sports game, not around in 100 years because of the licensing thing. If the NFL just tells EA, you know what, you don't get our, which is the thing I've been hoping for years now, is you don't have our exclusive license. We are going to everywhere. Well, now EA has other competition, and if any other competitor comes up and makes a better football game, that becomes the new Madden. So
just drop NFL Street. That's all I need. That's all I need.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, you brought up a game, and this is my game that will, like, if I had to pick a certified pick, it's this one. Fortnite. You brought it up earlier. It's a game that constantly gets new updates. It gets new game modes. They did that GTA-esque thing. They did that esports kind of style of game mode. But I think the reason why it's going to survive, and this is why I think GTA will also survive, it shifted from just being a single game. It's now a hub for multiple different kinds of games. And the fact that, like, let's just say that FPS mode releases, what's it called? Renegade or whatever? It's probably not the name. But that mode releases and it flops. That's okay, because they still have the Battle Royale game mode. The GTA mode might hit. They got the Lego game mode. They got all the different community creator modes. So it's like, yeah, like, Fortnite can survive because it's just like that weird enigma. It's going to survive, it's going to mold, it's going to shift with the times. And whenever you get an update that has like Snoop Dogg or Ice Spice or whatever is hot at the time, yeah, like, you're going to make money.
Fortnite, I think I agree with you that it will be around in 100 years, not because it's just a very popular game, but because it's a platform now. Like you're saying, it has all these other outlets for it. So that being said, I don't think it will look anything like we know it to be, because even when you talk about these other areas of Fortnite, when you mention the word Fortnite, the first thing that comes to my mind is Battle Royale. I can't say that Battle Royale games will be popular at all in, let's say, 15 years. There's a chance that people are just completely tired of it and don't want to play that kind of game. But Epic has shown the willingness to constantly iterate and just change things as much as they want. And then they do the really smart thing, like right now they're doing the OG season, right?
Yeah.
Where they go back and they, for nostalgia purposes, they bring back that stuff. And it's like, yeah, no, that all makes sense. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Fortnite will be around in 100 years. Grand Theft Auto, I'm not sure. That one is tough for me because obviously we're talking about over the last 20 years, probably I don't know. It's definitely the most talked about games when they release. They're definitely extremely popular. But I just don't even know if we get a GTA 7. And like, we'll have Grand Theft Auto 6 within the next couple years. I don't think it'll be next year. I think it does get delayed. But do they keep making it? If it because again, what if there is a world where GTA 6 comes out and it's a disaster? It is the Grand Theft Auto 1 through 3 trilogy all over again.
Don't put that bad juju out there. I do not want to work in gaming if we live in a world where GTA 6 bombs, because there probably won't be an internet to like go to because everyone will go
Right.
crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is therapy for me. This is gaming therapy right now.
There is a scenario where Grand Theft Auto flops at some point, and there's also a scenario where we just go forward with GTA 6 as the one platform for this going forward, and I'm completely wrong, where it becomes a Fortnite situation where we're talking about a whole world, not just Vice City or Liberty City, but the entire world is able to be accessed. Yeah, I'm probably wrong, but the chaotic nature of me is kind of like, what if?
That is the textbook definition of chaos, because, you know, I lump Fallout into this category too, along with Forza. Those are like my three last ones that games will survive. Because one, we have yet to go outside the United States. So like Grand Theft Auto in London, Grand Theft Auto in Tokyo. So it's
Oh,
like,
we have had London.
have we?
Grand Theft Auto 2,
Oh,
I think.
then I'm blanking on that, obviously. But like, you get what I'm
And,
saying.
obviously, that's before Grand Theft Auto took off in the 3D world. So
Yeah, no, yeah, there you go. So it's like there's untapped wells out there, and I include Fallout because we see in Fallout London that mod that came out, everyone loved it. I also think, just to touch on Forza real quick, cars are gonna change forever, so it's like, why not just make a game like a Madden that focuses on cars that just changes with the times? But I do think you brought up a good point. Any game that does make it, I think especially from this era in gaming, will survive as a hub. It's not going to be GTA 10. It's not going to be Forza 17. It's going to be Forza, hub, whatever. I'm not good at the names here. But yeah, like, it's going to be a hub.
the thing with Forza is those games rely on licenses.
Yeah.
And while companies love money, relationships can also go south very quickly. If there's a bad Forza game, who's to say that Lamborghinis pulls out of a future Forza game and they're like, hey, we don't want to put our cars in your games anymore?
That's true.
That's a massive hit. Yeah, I find it hard to believe Forza would be around that long. They're great games, don't get me wrong. I don't really care because they're simulation racers and they very quickly lose their fun for me. But I feel like that's the sports comparison where there's always there will be a racing game of the Forza nature in some point. I mean, we've had Gran Turismo for longer than Forza. We'll always have those kind of games, but Forza in particular, I'm not sure if we will have, especially if we're talking about what if Microsoft just doesn't want to be in gaming anymore? What happens to Forza in Playground Games and Turn 10?
I love the Horizon series. That's like my racing game. I never play the main Forzas. I like the Horizon stuff. Give me the arcade jumpy.
Well, like I'm saying, I think we'll always have someone making a game like that because it is that popular and it is that good that someone, at least for like the next 50 years, will make that kind of game. But it just might not be Forza for what we know.
That's true. I'm right there with you.
All right. Did you have any last ones you wanted to throw in there?
Ooh, I'm kind of looking at the various game posters I have around me. It's so weird because I'm only thinking big picture here because, you know, another franchise, let's just say like an Elder Scrolls, could go away for the next 20 years and then pop back up and we're like, hey, here's a new Elder Scrolls, whatever. There's always that. But
real quick though, if they do that, only our generation will care. What if the younger generation just doesn't?
Yeah. It's like, who wants to play a game about like old dudes with swords. We're like Star Wars out here doing all that stuff. I do want to ask you though, because I was thinking about it. I'm like, it's a toy, but like the games are popular. Do you think Lego games are a thing moving forward at all? Like, do we get like a Lego Indiana Jones again? Do we get, I don't know, whatever popular movie there is? Do you think that'll be around, let's just say, in the next 10 years?
10 years, absolutely. Yeah. I think Lego, as long as video games are profitable, they'll be pushing Lego games. It's probably the same thing of maybe it looks completely different. Maybe they go away from the relying on other franchises thing, and maybe there's a world where we get back to original Lego games.
Yeah.
Like Lego Island, stuff like that. Maybe they try the Lego Worlds model again, where they copy Minecraft and just see how long they really hit the ground with that. Maybe there's a world where VR amazingly takes off and gets very good and doesn't make me sick, and you're just able to build Lego creations in a game, and that takes off.
Yeah.
I don't believe the way we know them right now, where you have the Star Wars, Indiana Jones, like all these massive franchises. I don't think that will be around, let's say 50 years from now. But I think Lego games in particular, just because that's a big enough company that wants their name out there, that wants people to remember, hey, you can come buy this $200 Lego set that's made of 200 pieces.
Oh, I hate how expensive they are. I just I want them all. I got one back here, but like, it was like $80, and I'm like, $80 for a little thing? Come on. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation.
Right. That is where I think we are going to end our conversation. We're going to throw this over to our viewers, though. What video game franchises do you see being around in 100 years, and which ones do you think don't even make it, let's say, 20 years?
This is scary. This is so scary.
It's scary. Especially at a time where the video game industry is so volatile.
Yep.
Like, everything is up for debate in this era. But yeah, let us know in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe to see our future videos, and we will catch you on the next one. I am John Hansen. That is Kalo. Bye.
All right. Good. If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.